The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of get your ass to Mars. So get ready, nerds, because we're talking Total Recall.
Following podcast.
The following podcast.
May contain an abundance of salt.
Consider this as a boss.
Get ready for a surprise.
Gotta get your ass to Mars.
This is not the real Quaid. I'm right here.
Kill me.
Kill me here. Oh, shit.
Consider this a divorce.
Here we go.
I thought you had 5 kids to feed.
Oh, man.
I ain't even married.
I'm not even married. Fucking weirdo.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
Don't bullshit me.
Oh my God, you just made me snort. Get out my nose.
What happened to the guy that you lobotomized?
This is what we're gonna do all day.
That's all it is.
We're gonna do this all day.
That's our review. It's just
That's
us doing
Us
Arnold
doing
one.
Doing
one-liners.
quotes and
And that
one-liners.
was Total Recall.
So many one-liners from Total Recall. It's ridiculous.
All right.
Are you looking for these?
Yes, I am.
If you don't trust
For the
me, you
audio,
can.
for the audio only, that was the 3 tits.
If you don't trust me, you can tie me up. I'm dead. That's it. I'm over.
You went to those brain butchers?
Yeah, butterscotch. All right.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. Today, we're talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger 80s classic, Total Recall.
Actually, technically, it's
1990.
90s.
Really?
Yeah,
1990.
1990. It was shot in 89.
80s classic.
80s, early 90s.
I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader's here.
How you doing?
What's up?
I'm very good. This is the best movie ever. This is Arnold classic.
This is one of Arnold's best movies.
It is. It really is.
Really is.
It really is. Jude is also here.
If you don't like this movie, then you're a loser. With flabby arms.
If you don't like this movie, then fuck you.
That's Kevin Bacon.
Go
I thought it was still funny.
It was.
You don't like this movie, then go fuck yourself.
There you go.
I'll do it myself.
I don't think Jude could do it. Can you do it all?
No.
No.
No, can't do it.
I can barely do it.
I know it's
It's
hard.
terrible.
Candace is also here. Welcome, sir.
Yeah,
there you go. Accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate.
I'll be back.
I'm running for governor.
No, seriously. Like, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love this movie. This is the rare partnership between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Paul Verhoeven, two masters of cinema. And this is a all-time classic, in my opinion. I can't wait to talk about it.
Real cool.
Remember when we did our top 10 date night movie?
Yeah, Total Recall was on.
I feel like this was on one of our lists.
Yeah, totally. I think it was on yours.
That might have been on mine.
Yeah.
I think it was on mine too.
Yeah. If
I don't
if
remember.
you take a girl on a date and she can't watch Total Recall with you, just don't even bother.
don't even
The,
bother.
the girl's got to be slutty yet demure.
Athletic. Sleazy.
Sleazy.
Don't lie. It'll make your experience way worse.
All right.
Homosexual or heterosexual?
Hetero.
Don't lie.
All right, guys, we're gonna have a ton of fun. If you can't already tell, we're super excited to talk about this movie. So thank you guys for joining us. Stay tuned. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars. Get your ass to Mars.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, before we get into Total Recall, go to saltynerd.com/DC and download Dragon Champions. It's an awesome mobile game where you get to collect your heroes, upgrade them, and go on the warpath, and have all kinds of fun on your mobile device, Apple or Android. If you guys get to level 20, type in the promo code SALTY, and then it'll give you a little bit of a leg up to get to level 20. Once you're at level 20, then you can join our guild. Our guild is ran by one of our patrons, JT, and we have a ton of fun. We go in raids together and take down those dragons. So head over there, play the mobile game. It's really easy to pick up, put down, have a good time in your spare time, whatever you have on your phone. You're flipping through your stuff. Instead of going on Instagram or TikTok and just flipping through it, open up Dragon Champions.
I
Have some
play
fun.
it every day.
He does. He plays it while we're podcasting.
Indeed.
He has a little
It's not
alarm.
the only thing he plays while he's doing
Kadish
other
has an
things.
alarm on his phone for his dailies, and it goes off during the podcast, and I can see him flipping through it and going, fight. That's how dedicated he is.
Well, I just want to point out that if you want to support the show, be sure to use our promo code in the game because we do get credit for that, and it helps us out a lot.
It does.
Yes, it does. All right. Total Recall, the classic Schwarzenegger movie. Take it away, Jude.
Okay. 1990 Total Recall, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour 53 minutes. This had a budget of $65 million. What do you think this brought into the box office? Alex?
65 million.
65 million. I think it brought in 90s money.
1990 money.
I'm going to say 100 million
Okay.
on the dot.
Vader.
I'm going to go $200 million.
Whoa.
Vader wins the speedboat. This movie had a budget of $65 million and a box office of $261 million.
Damn.
Yeah,
This was a huge
Big-
hit.
big
That's
movie.
massive.
Big movie.
Holy shit. I didn't know it was that popular.
It
when
was a
came out.
blockbuster.
It's a blockbuster.
Do you want me to tell you what it's about?
Absolutely. I can't wait for your synopsis.
When Arnold Schwarzenegger decides he wants a divorce from his gross blonde wife, Sharon Stone, he does whatever it takes to get away from her. He changes his name and flees the planet. But that disgusting albino-headed bitch tracks him down and is like, "You want to tie me up?" "No, bitch, you're hideous." Arnold likes his women demure, sleazy, and brunette. Discuss.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So much more happened.
No, that's it.
That's a super sexist synopsis.
Listen, man, there was like drill cars, midgets with machine guns. There's
spying. There's
spies.
Michael Ironside.
Michael
Said
Ironside.
discuss.
This only had 2 of the 3 legs of the trifecta.
I was
so close.
I was trying to make the trifecta happen last night.
Like, is
When I'm
there
watching this movie, it's like there's got to be like mind fucks are like some kind of like
Some type of rape?
What is the trifecta?
I don't.
No.
I don't want to talk. I thought it was gonna happen.
If you know, you know.
You know, if you know, you know.
Also, no.
Jude's all like, no, the trifecta is bad. It's like, yeah,
We're
kind of
not rooting for it.
But it's
No,
your
kinda.
mark of a perfect movie.
Yeah.
It's almost there.
I was really drunk when I made that up.
So this movie's, I don't know anybody who doesn't like
This
this
movie's
movie.
a fucking masterpiece.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
This
so
is a
fun.
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, not only is it like a great 80s action movie, I know it was made in the 90s, but it fits in the 80s
It's
category.
so quotable.
Super quotable, but it's just ambiguous enough that the storyline can be taken in 2 different ways, right? You can watch it and you can be like, oh, this is all really happening, and this is his real life, and this is all true.
I want to take a poll really quick. Before
Yeah,
we
yeah.
get going. So I would just want to go around the table really quick, and I want to know if you're in it's real or it's recall.
It's recall for
Recall?
me. Recall.
Real.
Matt.
It's recall.
So yeah, it's real to me too.
So the table split.
Table split.
Ooh, I love this.
Twins activate.
So yeah, for sure.
I think-
that's interesting to me. That's still now today that people are still split on whether
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
real.
Well,
or not.
that's the mark of a classic movie.
Yeah, that's cool.
To me, there's enough evidence in this movie to suggest that it's part of this thing that he paid for.
The scene where the dude from what's his name where he's sweating where they
Yeah.
Doctor.
that didn't trick you.
No, I
didn't-
I don't think so, because that guy in the character himself, if you guys remember when he's traveling in the subway, when he's not before Recall and he's traveling in the subway and he sees a commercial for the Recall place and it's like, I'm the CEO of Recall and this is what we do. That's that dude. He has no connection to Mars. He has no connection to the agency. He has no connection to anything, but he pops up much later in the movie being connected to all those things, and it doesn't make any sense. He has no context for that. Like, why would that one random dude who runs a company be connected to freaking Cohagen or whatever the hell his name is from Mars. Like there's a big disconnect there.
Cohagen and his goons came in
said,
and at
"We need you to do
gunpoint
this."
was like,
That's right.
you better do this because this is really important.
I struggle to believe they have that much reach.
I would also point out that in that scene, that guy basically tells you exactly what's going to happen in the third act of the movie.
1 minute, you'll be the savior of the rebel cause, and the next thing you know, you'll be Cohagen's bosom buddy. You'll even have fantasies about alien civilizations, as you requested, but in the end, back on Earth, you'll be lobotomized.
And if you look at the scene where Schwarzenegger goes into recall and they're asking him all the questions, like the alien artifacts, you know, everything that he sees down to like the woman that, you know, he falls in love with, are all part of recall's like package for like what he's getting. And so like, you can argue that like, that's just happenstance based off of like his
Which is
responses
the way it's
to
supposed
them.
to play off.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But also, he's already been dreaming about this woman to the point where his wife is like, is it her again? Are you dreaming about her again? Because she fucking knows.
Yeah, and that's part of the beauty of this movie is you can argue all these points.
Yeah.
But Paul Verhoeven has been on record as saying like up to the point where Schwarzenegger goes into recall and succumbs to the sleep, that's all reality.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that point, it's debatable as to whether or not what he's
I
going
love
through
that.
is
And
real or if it's
Yeah,
like
and honestly,
a delusion.
I don't ever want to know.
No,
I don't ever
yeah.
want to know what.
Has anybody
what
read the
answer
book that this is based on?
It's a short story,
You
right?
have.
Of course he
Okay.
has.
is. Yeah, it's a Stephen King.
It's
book, right?
Philip K. Dick,
Why did I think it was a Bachman book for some reason?
because you think everything's a
You do.
Bachman.
You kind of do. You do.
Is a Running Man a Bachman book?
Yeah,
That's,
Running
I'm
Man.
getting mixed up with
Okay. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the short story? Because I didn't even know until this week when I was watching it. Like I was researching a little bit, and they were like, "Oh, this is based off of this book," and I had no idea.
It's a novelette, which isn't really a short story, but it's called "We Remember It For You, Wholesale," and it's a Philip K. Dick novel. And it's, you know, if you're familiar with Philip K. Dick, it's very kind of like weird and dystopian, but it's about this guy named Douglas Quayle. Who has a really shitty life. He's kind of like an office drone where like he goes in and he sits in a cubicle and like it's just an oppressive job. And his wife is like a total bitch who just like verbally abuses him constantly. And I think her name in the book is Kristen. But like
Is this Office Space?
no,
But in space?
no. So basically like he has dreams of having a more exciting life. And so he goes into recall. And he gets like, you know, the package because he wants to visit Mars and he wants to like have like a spy vacation or something like that. Just something to spice up his life a bit more. And then like it turns out that like he was like, you know, he goes through that period where he wakes up and he's like, you blew my cover. And so recall like erases his memory and gives him like half of his money back and sends him on his way because they're like, oh, this guy, like, you know, like he actually had memories of this stuff. And so Douglas basically goes back home and he's confronted by like these two like guys from this secretive government agency, and he ends up like, you know, like fighting them off and stuff like that. And turns out that there's like you know how in the movie there's a tracker up Schwarzenegger's nose. Well, in the book it's like in his brain, and it's a telepathic thing. So like they can track him like anywhere he goes, but they can also communicate with him through this thing. And so the agency basically, you know, contacts him and says like, okay, look, here's the deal. You were a government trained assassin. We sent you to Mars to assassinate people. And then like, we're hiding you here on Earth for your own safety. And since you went to recall, anyone who knows the frequency of this thing can like track you down and kill you. And so like, we need to like save you. And so he's like, okay, just take me back to recall and implant new memories in me. And then like, we'll just call it a day. And so like, he goes back into recall and they're like, okay, like what memories do you want? He's like, I want a memory of saving the Earth from an alien invasion. And they're like, okay, because they want to give him memories where like, he feels like he's had an exciting life. And so he doesn't want to go back and get recalled again. And then like when they go to implant those memories, it turns out the big twist at the end is that he really did save the Earth from an alien invasion. And if they do this, the aliens are going to come and invade. So like it was kind of like a ending at a cliffhanger, but it's very much just kind of like this guy who's like a working stiff accountant in a cubicle, you know, goes in and turns out he's an assassin. And then like, you know, like he has to save the world from an alien invasion.
That's cool.
I think the biggest clue that you guys are right that it's all real life is that Arnold Schwarzenegger is just fucking jacked.
Yeah.
And he's like some low level freaking blue collar construction worker who's just yoked as fuck. And you're like, you're not really a blue collar worker.
He's just jackhammering all day, carrying on our conversation. Hey, you ever been to Recall?
well, you know, what's funny is originally this movie was going to be made with Patrick Swayze. And and the script had him in like the office job and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. And so like when they cast Arnold Schwarzenegger, because basically the movie, it was getting ready to go with Patrick Swayze and then it ran out of money. And so it went into turnaround, and Schwarzenegger was interested in the project. So he had Carolco Pictures buy it for him so like he could produce it. And the minute he was attached, when Paul Verhoeven came on board, it's like, doesn't really make sense that he's like an office stiff. So we're going to switch it to a construction worker because that's what makes sense for how Arnold looks.
Listen, I know a lot of construction workers and they're not yoked like that.
They don't really make office shirts to fit Arnold. So let's make him a jackhammer.
And also,
Go ahead, V.
the one-liners wouldn't have worked.
No, this is like, the Arnold thing, like consider this a divorce, like that shit.
This would have been like been right after like Roadhouse and stuff, right? If it was a Patrick Swayze movie.
Yeah. When did Roadhouse come out?
Yeah.
89?
Have we watched that one yet?
Yeah,
we did, right?
Yeah, we did.
Recently.
I love that
along
one.
with Next to Kin. And
That's right. We did do a Swayze week. That was good stuff. But
No, I have so much fun with this movie.
it's a classic.
Dude,
It
how
is.
hot was Sharon Stone in this movie?
I made a joke.
Listen, I think
She's turbo fire.
I
hot.
think this is the hottest she's ever in any movie ever.
Even Basic Instinct?
And even Basic Instinct, for sure.
Well, Basic Instinct, she's kind of predatory.
Yeah. I mean, she
Wait.
is smoking hot in this thing.
Well, this was the movie that convinced Verhoeven to cast her in Basic Instinct.
I made a joke when we were watching this in the Discord app where I was like, that moment where she's like, they finally figure out that she's the one who's trying to kill him, and they're in the room together and they're fighting each other, and she's like slashing at him with the knife, and then he gets the upper hand, and she's like, oh, all right, fine, look, this is how it is, this is what's going on, I'm a cover, I'm not really your wife, blah 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 blah, and she's like, you've been my best assignment this entire time.
Oh my gosh,
and
she was so convincing.
She flips it, and she's like, "What do you think? To one more roll around before we leave." She's like, "If you don't trust me, you can tie me up." And like that was the moment I looked at this. I was like, "I'd be dead. I'd be dead."
Sure.
I'd be like,
the minute Schwarzenegger sees Ironside, he's like, "Clever girl."
Yeah, Jurassic Park reference.
It's like I have a couple comments about her and Arnold's relationship. First off, I think she fucking hits him in the nuts like half a dozen
three times in this. Yeah, at least
during this movie, he's got like balls of steel. It's unreal. And also, I think I read. I'm sure Matt can probably correct me on this, but her and Arnold like filmed their fight scenes a lot without stunt people. Am I right? Or because there was something about him not wanting to hurt her or something when he was throwing her around the apartment. I remember reading something along those lines. I'm not sure. Maybe Matt can like fill us in.
So first of all, Schwarzenegger and Stone didn't get along, and so they didn't like being on set together.
Really? That's wild.
Schwarzenegger wore like 3 times the amount of ball padding when he had to do scenes with her because she would really try to hit him in the balls. And Verhoeven was very adamant that like whenever girls were fighting, that it wasn't like girly fights. It was like they had to go like full blown, like full contact. And so I think a lot of the scenes that they did with Sharon Stone, because she did all of her own stunts, and Schwarzenegger was actually very impressed with like how good of a fighter she was. But I think a lot of the times she was fighting stunt people as opposed to Schwarzenegger himself, just because they didn't like each other. But like Sharon Stone apparently was very impressive because Schwarzenegger was on record as saying like she's like a female Terminator. He's like, I wouldn't be a fighter.
That's pretty cool.
Could you imagine if they made like a series of like Sharon Stone action flicks? She was like the original. Like,
well, I mean, there's a scene in this
action star.
There's a scene in this where she's like, he comes home, she's in her workout outfit, she's fighting Arnold, and there's this thing where she does like this high spin kick where like she spins around, her like foot like goes right by his face, and it's almost like a ballet dance move, and it was just like hardcore amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, how many nerds don't have the pink top with the
tube
black
top with the black
leotard.
leotard. Yeah, dude.
It's like,
For sure.
Yes, please.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd be dead.
What about the scene in the bed at the beginning when he wakes
Oh,
up?
dude. When
She's all jealous that he dreamed of a different
when
girl.
she leans
like
back,
being all flirty with
bro,
him and stuff.
when she leans back and she's like, I'll give you something to dream about. And she like starts untying her top. I'm just like, it's just
like-
fucking drool.
I wanted to address one more thing. I think I might be completely wrong, but they had to tone this down, right?
So-
to not get an NC-17.
Yeah, this
Sex.
was rated. This got an X rating, but it was for the violence, not the sex.
I thought it was for like a mix, but okay, cool.
Yeah, this was before NC-17 was a thing. But the best part about Sharon Stone in this movie is like when Schwarzenegger meets up with the Melina character, who's like the brunette.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What have you been feeding this thing?" And she grabs his dick, and he's like, "Blonde."
And then later on, when Melina's like, "That's your wife, bitch."
Yeah. Yeah. Classic. So I have a big issue with this one scene in this movie, and I feel like it might be a plot hole. And it's also one of those other things that I put like a feather in my cap for. This is not real, because it seems like that this action star phase of this movie is written by some coder from Recall who didn't really give it much thought. When he gets the message from his younger self, like, hey, take this thing out of your nose and rip it out, like it's fine, like whatever.
It's self-guiding,
It's
be
totally
careful.
fine, right? It's self-guiding. Like, hey, that's bullshit. That thing was
just- it's
fucking.
just a
It's the
spring.
size of a walnut.
Why
it's
did
a
it need
COVID
to
test.
be that big?
It's just a COVID test.
Why did it? It was fucking
It was
huge.
a tiny little metal thing in like a fucking goblet inside of his nose.
Yes. Okay. Hey, so I call bullshit on that.
Man,
Yeah.
your sinus cavity is very spongy and
We want to keep it
Did
from
you-
falling out.
Did you hear the pop when he puts it in
yeah.
there? It was-
I think honestly, just to like, I think it was kind of on purpose to make everybody in the audience go, oh,
yeah, no, it's gross factor.
oh, Jesus Christ.
For sure, for sure.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's a very particular Paul Verhoeven thing, where he just likes to do these like weird, gross European things. Yeah.
And the other thing that I call bullshit on, which is the majority of my problems with this movie, is once he goes to get to Mars, he gets on the fucking
Get your asthmas.
get your ass to Mars.
Just a mod.
He flies in the fucking spaceship and he goes to Mars and he lands in Mars Customs. And he's in the fucking old, like tall
big
woman,
ladies-
the
the
big
big lady
lady
outfit.
suit. But it's also a robotic, like animated thing that has its own voice box and everything. And it's like 2 weeks, right? And then also it's a bomb. Where the fuck did he get that thing
It's spy
from?
shit that he got from his old spy self. Don't
was
ask
in
I
the
don't
questions.
buy it.
It
Why
was in
asking
the
questions
briefcase.
for?
It was in the briefcase.
Bullshit.
Why are you asking so many questions?
How the fuck
a
did
spy.
that? How the fuck did that thing fit in the briefcase?
I don't know, man. It was like folded.
And then why is it malfunctioning? Why is it like?
He added water to it and it went up, and then it worked.
And it stopped malfunctioning right before it blew up.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
He didn't program it to say anything more than 2 weeks.
Why not?
Because English isn't his first language.
It's just like whole shit.
I hear you.
And that's
I do. But you know what? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really affect my enjoyment of this movie. It's still fun to watch.
That scene is iconic. It's
I-
like
I
it's
get it.
It's its own thing.
I get it, but it doesn't make any
Ultimately,
sense.
you
You
got
can
ready
get-
for a surprise.
Yeah.
You can get
Get ready for a surprise.
You can buy that T-shirt out there on nerdtees.com.
With like the freaking lady going,
Yeah.
2 weeks.
So
Like rubbing on her
I want to
face.
talk a little bit about the overall movie, because if you ever want to learn how to properly pace a film, this is the model that you go after, because this movie is relentless in its pace and it just feels like it flies by. And the interesting thing about this film is that it was written by Ronald Schwarzenegger and Dan O'Bannon, who wrote the Alien film for Ridley Scott.
nice.
So these guys were working on the script for like quite a number of years. And then when Paul Verhoeven came on, he turned this into a Verhoeven movie. And one of the things I love about Verhoeven with his dystopian style is that his vision of the future is all harsh concrete and fluorescent lights. And the entire movie, like that background, like even like interiors are like concrete and fluorescence, and it creates this desaturated look where there's just like no color in this universe. Even the costumes are kind of muted. And Verhoeven has like very specific bullet squibs that are just like the size of softballs.
Their
Over
names
the
not
top.
really-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So like his version of the future is like hyper violent, hyper sexual, and completely devoid of any like color or warmth or anything like that. And he's also got this really biting satire wit that he kind of puts into these things. Like, for instance, on Earth, all the ads for soft drinks are Coca-Cola, and then when you go to Mars, it's all for Pepsi and stuff like that. And so these little like subversive things that are just like absolutely brilliant in my opinion. But the thing that really elevates this movie is the fact that they layer in this thing is like, is this real or is this a dream? And you can argue both equally because like most people are like, well, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I just want to accept what's being presented to me.
Right.
Then there are other people who's like, you know what? Like there's so many clues that this is actually like a fantasy, like embolism, like thing that they're talking about. And he's going to die at the end. So I really like this. But what's funny about this movie is that in order to get the architecture that Verhoeven wanted for like this future, they had to go and shoot it in Mexico City. And while they were in Mexico City, everyone but Arnold Schwarzenegger got really bad food poisoning.
Is this the movie that happened on?
This is the movie that happened on. This is the cursed movie, basically.
Because he had his own chef.
Well, because of his work on Predator. Like,
I was going to say, I thought that happened on Predator.
It happened on Predator, and so he's like, never again. and so like he had all of his food and water imported from the States while they were in Mexico. And because he wasn't drinking the water or eating any of the food, he didn't get sick. But everyone on this movie at one point or another was sick while they were shooting it.
Wow.
Whoa. Yeah. That's crazy. So one of my favorite underrated actors is Michael Ironside. I fell in love with his work from the Splinter Cell franchise because he voices Sam Fisher, and that's kind of where I like got introduced to him. And then I went back and I was like, oh, he's in all these 80s movies as like a bad guy.
Starship Troopers.
Fucking love it. He's a total cuck in this freaking movie. It was so bad. Like his wife is porking Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he comes on the screen.
Sent her there.
He sent her there.
I would be angry too.
I would be a little pissed.
I'd be a little angry.
But the best line, and
Why would you be pissed?
because he's like,
because he didn't send her there. Fucking Ronny Cox sent her there.
yeah, what's his name? Cohagen was like, you're
Dick
going to go
Jones.
over there and bang freaking Cohagen or whatever the guy's name is. But the best line is when he's like, we got to kill this guy. And his like sidekick partner's like,
Michael
he's like,
Champion.
yeah, I wouldn't want him around porking my wife either. And he's like, what, you think she likes it? And he's like,
that dude is one of my favorite low-level characters of the show.
He's like, no.
He's an asshole. the whole fucking
I'm
time.
sure she hated every minute.
He's got this stupid shit eating grin. No, I'm sure she hated every minute of it, buddy.
Yeah.
She's like, what? I'm just at work.
I'm just going to work, honey.
Just doing my job.
Ironside is an awesome character.
Yeah,
He's iconic. I want to bring up Ronny Cox. Cohagen.
Mm-hmm.
He just plays the same dude in everything he's ever in.
Slimeball.
But we also know him in the same kind of era as Dick Jones from RoboCop. He was in Star Trek as
one of the shitty admirals, right?
Jellicoe, I think was his name. It's just he's one of those actors that you just
immediately don't like.
You kind of forget how many things he's been in that you love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well,
so it's really cool.
Well, you know what's funny about Ronny Cox is that Schwarzenegger was originally set to star in RoboCop, but they couldn't afford him, and he was also too bulky for the outfit. So like like it went to a different actor.
That would be weird.
But when he saw RoboCop, he was so impressed with it that he's like, I want to work with Paul Verhoeven. Yeah. So like that's how their collaboration on this movie came about. But Paul Verhoeven, he brought in a lot of people from RoboCop into this movie, and I think that even like the Mars security forces are wearing like the CCP outfits from RoboCop.
I'm just trying to get through in my head here. It's like, dead or alive, you're coming with me. Does that work?
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work?
No.
Dead or alive, creep. You're coming with me. Dead or alive, creep. You're coming with me.
But there are actually like a lot of interesting like casting choices in here. Like for instance, Dean Norris from Breaking Bad and all that stuff. He was also in Starship Troopers, but he was in this movie as well as one of the mutants.
I forgot he was in Starship Troopers.
Yeah, he's been in like 3 Verhoeven films, I think.
Yeah. Gul Dukat is in this movie. Mark Alamo, which was kind of a cool Star Trek thing. He was in Deep Space Nine.
Okay. Robert Picardo's in this movie.
Yeah.
He plays the Johnny Cat. Yeah.
You're in a Johnny
Cat.
So what I love about this movie and a lot of movies from this era is they're trying to tell the future a little bit with like some shit. The Johnny Cabs kind of freak me out.
It's a Tesla.
Because You guys, we can go down right now, down to the Las Vegas Strip here in town, and we can basically get in a Johnny Cab. And it's, except they're humans still. They're just, they pay people $25 an hour. And I've looked because I thought about doing this to just sit there in the driver's seat and bullshit with you while the car does all the work.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just there to put our mind at ease in case, you know, we think the robot car is going to like go crazy
or something.
You know, the best part of the Johnny Cab in this movie is that, so at a certain point, Arnold hijacks a Johnny Cab as like, you know, they're shooting it up, chasing him. And he gets to like the old like concrete factory or whatever. And he gets out and this broken ass Johnny Cab is like, that'll be $35.50, please. And Arnold's like biddle me, like whatever. And the Johnny Cab gets so pissed off that it tries to run him over and then it explodes out of spite.
Not a great business model.
So,
yeah, also a real quick Star Trek, you know, we talked about some Star Trek connections here. So the woman with the 3 titties showed up 3 different times in Star Trek, and most notably, she was in the Q-Who episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Nice, right on.
And,
there's a lot of connections there.
Also, Debbie Lee Carrington, who played the little person, working lady.
She's also Star Trek.
Her character name was Tinkerbell.
Dude, she's been in everything. If you look at her IMDb, you'll be shocked at how much stuff she was in. She was all over the place. She was, you know, she unfortunately passed away in 2018, which I just found out yesterday. It really kind of bummed me out because I've always had a weird little person crush on this lady. And it's just very, very strange that, you know, and it was from this movie.
Well, she's like, iconic. I mean, she stabs a dude in the dick.
Yeah. But it's that scene, it's that famous scene where she's got that big ass machine gun.
Yes.
And she's just sitting there in her freaking, in her
sexy little outfit.
Neon clothes with her crimped hair.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a badass little chick right there. Yeah, I love her, man. And I was just kind of, it really bummed me out a little bit when I found out she's gone.
So I've seen this movie a whole bunch of times, but there was something that I guess just kind of slipped through the cracks or whatever. I never really noticed it, but there's one, like there's a lot of deaths in this movie. Like a lot of people get shot, a lot of people get gruesomely killed. Ironside gets his arms ripped off by an elevator. Like there's a lot of gruesome deaths.
Arnold disarmed him.
Yes, he disarmed him. There's one poor bastard who has nothing to do
the escalator scene. Yeah.
Nothing to do with the plot of this movie. This dude just gets the worst of it. Like Arnold uses him as a meat shield.
Wrong place, wrong time.
And the dude just gets riddled with bullets all over the place. And Arnold eventually, like once he's all used up and bulleted, riddled, whatever, just throws him off the balcony. I was like, oh my God, that's so dark.
That's one of the most famous scenes in this movie is like the escalator shootout where Arnold's using that guy as a meat shield. And they're doing the Paul Verhoeven style squibs where it's just like softball sized explosions coming out this guy's chest. And when you're watching it, like, it's cool, but you feel bad thinking that it's cool, but also you're also like, yeah, that body wouldn't be stopping those bullets.
Yeah, no. That thing is Swiss cheese at this point.
At the same time, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just makes this movie stand out. It's so violent and gory, and it really is a classic in my mind.
And we should point out that this movie, so it was made before the advent of CGI, but there are elements of CGI in this movie. And the big thing is like the X-ray screen that people have to walk by. And what was funny about that, the X-ray screen is like they had all this computer software ready to go for it, but at the end of the day, the computer software didn't work right. And so they actually had to hire animators to go in. And so like all the skeletons and stuff are hand animated in this movie.
It holds up though.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It still looks good.
Still looks good.
Yeah. And I think that's what I like a lot about this movie still today is a lot of this holds up. It's still, it doesn't look, the entire movie doesn't look like it was made 30 years ago at this point. I mean, some of it does. I'm not going to don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you can also chalk that up to, okay, it's supposed to look that way a little bit. You know?
It's weird that you mentioned that because I do agree with you. Like it does age really well considering some of the other stuff that came out around this time, but it feels so quintessentially 80s.
Yeah.
It has the cinematography of the 80s. It has the feel. It has the graphicness, the sex, all that stuff feels like it came straight out of the 80s, but you can watch it today and be like, it's still, it doesn't take you out.
I think it's because Verhoeven maybe had his image of everything being, you know, very colorless, and very, very cement and blocky. It's hard to put a age on that. You know, he's not far off with a lot of stuff.
No, you seen modern architecture these days? It's all just
bullshit.
concrete blocks.
It's bullshit. It sucks. It's boring as fuck, and a lot of it looks just like this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's interesting. It's interesting. This vision of the future, it's not all wrong.
Can we talk about the mutants and Quato?
Absolutely.
I was just gonna get to that. So like once we're well into this movie, we get over to Mars, get you off to Mars. And
Start with Benny.
Yeah, fucking Benny, the cab driver. This is another feather in the cap of this is all fucking recall. Is somebody at the recall facility makes a joke about, oh, you're gonna be dealing with spies and this and that and crooked taxi drivers, and then what do you know? He shows up in Mars and there's a crooked taxi driver. Like it's all just like one thing after another leads into exactly what they sold him at Total Recall. I hate Benny. He drives me insane.
I feel like anyone in any movie who's named Benny is a secret bad guy.
His character just annoys me. And I'm like, I think it's meant to, because he's meant to be abrasive and over the top and obnoxious. And it's kind of like, that's his character. So it does its job. Just to me is like my least favorite part of the movie.
I love how he's like, let me take you to this real good hoe house.
Yeah.
And Arnold's like, and you'll get kickbacks there, right? He's like, oh man, you got me.
Where the whiskey's not watered down and the ladies are cheap. Yeah, that fucking guy. The 5 kids guy. Quato. Gotta talk about the mutants.
Pretty gnarly. Yeah.
As a kid growing up, scared the fuck out of me.
Oh.
One of the reasons why I didn't watch this movie a whole bunch after seeing it for the first time was because of that fucking scene where he's like, well, Quato's going to talk to you, Quaid, so just sit tight for a second. He goes, and he starts like freaking out.
Like warn a guy.
Like opens his chest and this like creepy deformed little Muppet comes out.
Like, take my little hands.
Quaid.
If they'd warned you, then it wouldn't have been a start.
Dude, that shit scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
It's like the taxi driver in his mutant arm.
I still have a hard time watching it. I still am watching this. I'm like, oh God, I gotta look away for a minute while freaking Quato is talking. It's so creepy and gross. But that's another thing. It almost feels like a John Carpenter thing, like the practical effect puppetry of it.
Well, Rob Bottin, who did a lot of work with John Carpenter, did the special effects for this movie and RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someday I'm gonna make you watch Nightbreed, and you're gonna lose your fucking mind.
I love Nightbreed.
The fuck is Nightbreed?
He can't do that movie. I think.
He can.
I think it would kill him.
No, you'd be fine.
I don't think so. You know, there's a 40-minute director's cut with 40-minute additional minutes on that thing, but we'll talk about that later.
Nightbreed?
Yeah, dude.
Come over tonight.
All right. Do you guys have any thoughts about Quato? Katie, you seem like
awesome.
you brought it up, so I figured you had something to add.
Yeah, I mean, like the actor Marshall Bell, who plays like the guy who has Quato in his belly. He's an interesting actor, and the scene where like he's like, I'm not Quato, I'm not the leader. Let me introduce you to Quato. And it turns out Quato's like this weird little deformed midget in his belly who's got like psychic powers. It's such a fun
He's
twist.
like Voldemort just in his belly.
He really is.
A little deformed midget.
Yeah. But the thing I love about this movie is that it always surprises you. Like all the twists are genuine. They're well telegraphed.
Mm-hmm.
They're not ridiculous. Like everything makes sense in this movie. Even like when it's revealed that like Cohagen is like friends with like, you know, Quaid's alter ego and stuff like that, and they reveal like their very convoluted plan for assassinating Quato.
Super convoluted.
Yeah. But there's that great scene where they're putting Schwarzenegger and Melina back into like a recall, and they're like, "We're gonna make her subservient sex slave, just like all women should be." And it's like,
he's like, "But I like him demure and slazy."
and they're like, "Oh, I'm throwing a party tonight. Why don't you guys stop by?"
Yeah.
I mean, everything in this movie is just so perfect for this movie.
And speaking of the plan that they had, like the agency's plan for getting Hauser in to infiltrate Quato's freaking rebellion or whatever, like on the surface you're like, man, that's really convoluted, but it actually, like, they actually have a line in there that makes it all make sense. And he's like, Quato's a fucking psychic, and he's got a bunch of psychic freaking, you know, goonies around him.
Need you
or
to be
whatever.
able to infiltrate.
If you went in there just like normal undercover as Hauser, they would be able to pick you up immediately. we had to erase your memory and make you think you're this other guy so that you could infiltrate. And if they read their mind, then they wouldn't be able to tell it was actually Hauser. And I'm like, oh, it's fucking genius. Like, yes, it's very convoluted, but it all made sense.
The one thing I will give your theory credit to, that this is all fake in his mind and at recall, is that in what world would he choose Melina over Sharon Stone?
Hey, man,
Damn.
That is the
Damn,
only
dude.
credence I'm giving to your theory.
Shots fired.
It all depends on what you're into, man.
You know, speaking of being into things,
She's kind of sleazy and demure too.
I think I speak for every teenage boy in the 90s when we meet the three-breasted hooker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
As a teenager, I was in my 20s.
There's more.
Baby, you make me wish I had 3 hands.
So originally she was supposed to have 4 titties, and there was like one like underneath the other.
Oh, no, don't do that.
And they were like, it looks too much like a cow. So
Yeah.
we're gonna put like we're gonna do like
She looks like a cat that just had babies.
we're gonna go with the tri-titty formation.
Yes, that's it. 2 in the hand, 1 in the mouth.
It's a tri-titty.
Perfect.
That's all you.
But I mean, like that one scene when she like pulls open her shirt, you see the 3 titties. Like every single guy in the theater for the first time seeing
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
like,
Whoa.
It was high fives all theater. Woo! That is the best thing ever.
That's why this movie made $300 million.
You're not wrong.
But then, like that's her only move, and every guy in the bar just gets to feel all 3 of her titties before
For
they give her any
free.
money.
For free. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
I was like,
She needs a business manager.
Yes, for sure. She needs a good pimp.
Yeah, like, hi, I'm a manager. What do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
And she's like, this. And
This,
he's
and
like, I'm going to sign you right now.
I can
Here's
work
a
with
contract.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. He's like, listen, you
Want to feel 3 titties?
like this is how you work.
I want to see this porn parody.
This is how you work this corner.
There's
Okay.
definitely a porn parody.
Somebody
gotta be.
walks up, they show a little bit of interest. You give them a quick flash. You say, if you want to play with these, come my way, and then we charge them. Like, don't just give it away for free to Benny the
Or
cab
like
driver.
wear one of those like con from Star Trek
just
shirts,
one tit?
and just one tit is out, but you know there's 2 other tits, but you gotta see them. You gotta see them. You're gonna pay to see them.
You're gonna pay.
So the tri-titty scene is one of the most iconic things from this movie.
sure.
And like everyone knows about that scene.
It's like, what movie? You know, the one with the three boobed lady.
Our chat,
Oh, yeah, that
our chat
one.
right now is like, there were supposed to be 4.
That was the original concept
that
for
would
it.
have looked. That would have looked. That would have been a bit much.
Yeah, it would have been a bit
I
much.
agree.
I think they made the right call with 3. Mars is amazing once you get there, and it's so fucked up. But I think the world itself is really well realized.
Yeah, this movie is kind of divided into like Earth and Mars. Like the first half is Earth, second half is Mars, and Mars is so different. But I will say that like I find it odd that the protective dome is so susceptible to bullets.
Oh yeah, it's just glass. It's fine. They didn't know any better back then. That was another thing. So like I was watching this movie, and we have a good friend of ours, Dr. Target, Professor Target of astrophysics, and I reached out to him this week after I got done watching this movie, and I was like, "Hey, you ever seen Total Recall?" And he's like, "I fucking love that movie." And I was like, "How bullshit is the ending?" He's like, "It's total bullshit."
Yeah, that's not how that works.
He's like, "No."
I had a great time.
Oh, guys, I was telling Jude when the eyes pop out of people's heads like that to me, like you know how like Quado was the thing that turned
That
you
is
off.
his
Like
nightmare.
that's my
Oh,
nightmare.
it's
fuel.
so creepy, dude. His eyes
His
come
eyes just-
bulging out.
And his tongue is
Like swells
so
up.
huge.
Yeah, but not just that. Like the whole like this ancient artifact that's made by aliens, and it heats up and then it injects itself into the ice glacier that's beneath the surface of the moon or whatever, and then it like sends all this steam into the air, and it terraforms the entire planet
Within
in like
30
2 minutes.
seconds,
Yeah,
yeah.
But that would have a shelf life.
yeah, exactly. He's like, that's no, that's not how that works at all.
It's funny because the screenwriters actually like were objecting to like the ending of this where they're like no that's not how terraforming works, and Verhoeven's like it's a Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
I know, right?
What do you want from us?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's a 1980s Schwarzenegger action flick.
Yeah,
It's like, who cares?
but here's the thing.
but also it leans credence to the dream theory that like
Yes.
that's
That's what I
how
was
it
gonna
works.
say.
yeah, no, I get that, but it was real.
Like if they had taken like a little bit extra time, maybe not completely believable, but like within the realm of possibility, then you would have been like, oh, maybe it is a real thing.
Okay.
And then your theory that it's all real could have been real.
It's like, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
I'm right, you're wrong.
No, I'm right, you're wrong.
No,
It was real.
it's not real.
Welcome to the party.
It's all a dream.
No, it's right. It's real. Okay, I also wanted this just really quick. I want to say one thing because this actually got brought up when we were watching the movie with some of our members. His real name is Richter. Arnold is not doing the Arnold thing. It's not Victor. It's Richter. It's so you know,
Whose name is Richter?
Ironside.
Ironside's
Yeah,
name?
it's not Victor. His name is Richter. So
Really?
when he says, I'll see you at the party, Richter. You know, it sounds like Arnold is like saying Arnold. And saying, mistaking the R with the V. But his name is Richter. He's actually saying it right.
No shit.
When he makes that line. Yeah.
Never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
That's a great line, though.
See you at the party, Richter.
See you at the party.
See you at the party,
His
Richter.
arms get ripped off.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. So our next video, we're going to be talking about the Total Recall from whatever, 2012 or something with Colin Farrell. And like this movie is brutal, right? We talked about the escalator scene. But fun. Brutal, but fun. We talked about the nose thing.
I love that. I love that time.
Everything about this movie that's violent is like hyper violent. And like the remake, it's like PG.
Dude,
and
it's rated PG-13.
It's taken away a lot of the joy that I got.
But I don't want to
you don't want to mix streams?
I don't want to soil this movie.
Okay, sorry.
Don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams. You guys have any other thoughts about the ending of this movie?
So you would think that a movie that made this much money would warrant a sequel.
You would think.
You know, and they did try to finagle a sequel into existence on this movie. And basically, the sequel was going to take another Philip K. Dick property and kind of convert it into something that follows up this adventure. So like basically the sequel would take the stance that everything we saw in this movie was real. And Schwarzenegger is now part of the Mars security force. And basically the mutants on Mars become precogs. And it's the Minority Report is the sequel. So Total Recall Minority Report, where Schwarzenegger plays the Tom Cruise role that goes around. And the mutants on Mars are like the precogs who can do like pre-crime and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And so that was going to be the premise for the sequel to this, but it never got going. And eventually Minority Report became its own movie.
That's
directed by
another
Steven
weird
Spielberg.
movie. We've never covered that, have we?
No, we haven't done much Tom Cruise stuff. We've done like Mission Impossible.
We haven't done enough Tom Cruise.
Fair. So the end of this movie, I love the whole like ancient alien stuff. That was a lot of fun.
Can we talk a little bit about the hologram part of this movie?
The best trick.
You think that was me?
You think this is all real, Quaid? It is.
And that's so perfectly set up. Though.
Yes, it
really
is. They drop a hint of it when he goes and gets the suitcase with the message or whatever. That he gets a hologram. What am I going to use this for? And at the end of the movie, he uses it.
Which is the same suitcase that he had his lady suit in.
Sure.
And I also love that like a good 10 minutes of this movie, Arnold's just in a turban.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he does this weird bow at the lady who tried to steal his briefcase.
Oh my God, the lady was hilarious. Get your own shit, fuck face. And she takes it away.
He's like, it's mine.
It's mine. I need it right now.
My friend left it for me.
The old woman so insistent. Finders keepers, you asshole.
You asshole. Like, there's no reason why she should be in this movie.
She's so mean.
She's hilarious.
Oh, fuck you. And he's like, yes, thank you for my suitcase.
Fuck you, asshole.
But I'm pretty sure the turban thing is just because they had to do the prosthetic head with the nose thing, and they couldn't like realistically do his hair, so they just made a prosthetic head.
Wrap a wet towel.
Around it.
It'll mess up the signal.
Yeah.
Same head that's in the lady meat suit.
Again, just more theory or more
But you don't. It works.
more support for my theory that this was just a code
That was
written
real.
by some
That was real.
doofus
That was real.
at Total Recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was real.
All right. Comment below, guys. Real or fake?
Yeah, fight it out in the comments.
Fight it out in the comments. Total Recall. Is it real or is it fake?
Yeah, I mean, there's that moment at the end where like like they've saved Mars. He's gotten the girl. He kisses her, and then like there's this kind of like fade to white, and you could read that as like that's him getting lobotomized at that moment.
That's what I do. Yeah, he's dead. That's why there's no sequels. Quaid's fucking gone. You guys ready?
What a way to go.
Quaid.
Kiss me before I wake up.
It's funny in the original novelette, the character's name was Quail, and when they were shooting this, the vice president was Dan Quail, and they didn't want people to conflate the name with the vice president, so they changed it to Quaid.
I thought it'd be funnier if you'd said he couldn't say the word
Quail.
like
Quail.
like porkajol.
Porkajol. You guys ready for final thoughts on this?
I can't
think
say
so.
quail.
All right, cool.
Quail.
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 No, it'd be better if it was Quaid.
Quail is easier.
I'm getting better at it the drunker I get. V, final thoughts. Total Recall, give it a rating.
Ooh, final thoughts and rating. Man, the moment of truth. Right?
Almost a trifecta. It's got 3 boobs.
Got 3
It
boobs.
does have 3 boobs.
Oh my God, you just fixed it. I was gonna go 4.5 stars.
Yeah.
But I think I'm giving it another half star.
Just for the 3 boobs?
I think it's a 5-star.
5-star movie?
I really do because
What?
listen, man, when I think Arnold movies, it's Total Recall, Predator, and Running Man.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, I know people are saying Terminator 2 should be in there, but man, that's next level. That's almost a 6-star movie if there was such a thing. That's like an amazing fucking movie. All right.
Let's do a Terminator week.
Absolutely.
But I think I'm gonna be okay giving this 5 stars.
Did you give Running Man 5 stars?
I did not. I don't think I did. I think it's
Why don't you go do some steroids?
but just because it's like in my top 3 Arnold movies doesn't mean it has to be a 5-star.
Okay.
movie.
Okay.
It's just Arnold is an iconic movie star from my teenage years and my youth. You know, all the cool movies that I watched had Arnold or Stallone in them, or you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie it's special. It's right there. It's up there with those movies, and I don't see any reason not to give this movie the highest rating I can because it's almost a perfect movie for me. I don't stop watching it when I start. But granted, I haven't watched this movie in a long time, and it was super fun revisiting this. And I'm gonna have to put it in my yearly rotation again, I think, because it's a special movie, and it's got everything I want. It's got gratuitous violence. It's got your stupid boobs. It's got little people with machine guns. It's got mutants. It's got Michael Ironside, and it's everything I want in the
And
movie.
Jerry Goldsmith based the score of this movie off of Conan the Barbarian.
I was just gonna say the music is really good, and man, this movie's there.
All right, cool.
It's right there. Yeah, for
And
sure.
your final answer is that
5 stars.
5 stars,
Absolutely. Add it to the list.
and it's
for
real.
sure. And yeah, this is a legit 5-star movie.
No, I mean it's real. Like the whole movie's it's
Oh
actually
yeah,
happening.
yeah. Absolutely, I'm 100% in the real. It'll
Okay.
happen camp for sure.
Okay. All right.
Jude,
Final thoughts.
Bam.
Give it a rating. And is it real or fake?
It is real.
Okay.
It is also 5 stars.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is 5 get ready for a surprises out of 5 get ready for a surprises.
ready for
I
a surprise.
love this movie. I don't know if this is my favorite, but it is one of my favorite Arnold movies. This is a movie I can and have watched hundreds of times. I love this movie. It never gets old for me. There's so quotable. And like as you're watching it, you're like remembering like, oh shit, the next scene is really fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
And real for you too, right?
Yes.
Okay. What were you gonna say, V?
I forgot how fun this movie was.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched it. So yeah, awesome, Jude.
All right.
Great score.
Kadish. Final thoughts. Give it a rating. Real or fake?
All right. So as a Paul Verhoeven fan, this is definitely one of his best movies, if not his best. It's one of Schwarzenegger's best movies. The script's incredibly well written. The casting of this movie was perfect. The set design, it is kind of an ageless movie because even if you think about like, okay, we're 80 years in the future, by the time 2084 rolls around, like you could still watch this movie and be like, okay, it's just an alternate universe type thing, or it's a paranoid delusion or something like that. So it works on so many different levels. The fact that there's like a deeper philosophical question here as to like whether or not it's reality or a dream, and people can sit around and argue about it, like literally like 30 years later. That elevates it to not just entertainment but art as well. And so there's so much stuff in this movie that works. It's never boring. The pacing is pitch perfect perfection. Like I wasn't joking. Like if there's filmmakers out there that want to learn how to pace your movie, watch this film because it is so perfectly paced. You're never bored. Sharon Stone is absolutely gorgeous. Schwarzenegger is awesome and hilarious at the same time.
Peak Schwarzenegger.
It's peak Schwarzenegger. It's peak Verhoeven. Like the fact that these two have never collaborated on anything since this movie is an actual crime. But I'm going to give this 5 three-titties out of 5 because this to me is a 5-star perfect movie.
15 titties.
15 tits.
15 titties.
Whoa.
Verhoeven also directed Showgirls, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Of course he did. Best and the worst.
It's got range.
God damn.
Oh God.
Man's got range. Sure. Okay. For me, this is what did you give it, Kadish?
5.
You gave it 5?
We're all 5.
Before you say anything, I just want to remind you that Arnold said "clever girl" before Jurassic Park said "clever girl."
This is true.
Okay.
It's true.
Clever girl.
Clever gal. I'd be dead at that moment. Shit. God, I'm got some peer pressure on me now. I wasn't
No
originally.
pressure.
I
No
wasn't gonna
pressure.
give it 5 stars. I do like it.
Find a reason.
I have a great time with it. Sharon Stone's fucking gorgeous. His brunette girl is gorgeous. Mars is fun. The
midget girl's gorgeous.
midget girl's gorgeous.
You would do.
There's 3 tits. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I got a joke, but I'm not allowed to say it.
There are no kids in this movie.
There's no kids in this
No
movie.
kids.
I love that.
No, there's one mutant kid, but she's kind of cool.
No, she's fine. She guesses his birthday.
Yeah.
It's all good.
She's psychic.
Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside in this movie.
There's your half star.
God damn it, dude. Yeah, there's a half star right there by itself.
It's on Maz.
It's on Maz. I can't think of any reason I wouldn't give it a 5 star. Yeah, all right, fuck it. 5 stars. 5 stars across the table.
Is this the first time we've all
No.
Four
No.
ways,
Five
5
stars.
stars.
What was the other one that we
The
did?
second or third? I forget what the first one was. It was
I
like,
don't remember.
was it?
Was it Con or something like that? Maybe I don't know. Anyway,
You have to go to the chat.
Yeah.
oh jeez,
But it's
it's so fun. It's just so fun,
yeah.
and you can't watch this movie and not be like, God, it was a
We didn't
blast.
say one bad thing about it for the last 45 minutes.
This is true. I mean, I did call bullshit on the bomb lady robot
yeah,
face.
but she was still fun.
Yeah,
again,
it's-
if it's delusion,
Yeah, and it's not Total Recall without that
I
scene.
think we all gave Alien or Aliens 5
Aliens.
stars.
aliens.
aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
it.
We haven't done Alien yet.
Aliens
We
and
should.
top Total Recall, 5 stars all around.
It's a good movie. All right, guys. That's it. Comment. I really do want you guys to comment below. Is
And
it
Kill Bill. I think we all gave Kill Bill
which
5
one?
stars.
You like volume
Volume
1.
1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, comment below if it's real or fake. I'm genuinely curious what our audience thinks of this movie. Is it all just a dream from Total Recall, or is this really his life?
Also Tombstone, I think.
God damn, dude. Look at those
I did
names.
not give Tombstone
No?
a 5-star.
okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. That's it for the video. Thanks for being here, guys. Tune in. In a couple of days, we're going to do the Colin Farrell Total Recall and our thoughts on that. So stay tuned.
Why did we do this one first? Should have saved the best for last.
Because we're just going to completely shit over the second one. V, where can they find you on the socials, bud?
You can find me at MattVader74 on the Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and
Places.
Discord and the Trump ones, I guess. I forget what they're fucking called. I ignore them. But yeah, I'm out there.
Okay.
Come join me.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Jude.
You can probably just find him driving his Jeep down the street. I mean, if you look hard enough, he'll ignore you, just like the socials. You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok.
Matthew Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter and Truth Social. You can find my books at kadishbooks.com. And if you'd like to join our Facebook group, just go to saltynerdgroup.com, takes you right there. And we also have a Twitter community dedicated to the podcast on Twitter. So if you're a Twitter user, join us on our Twitter community and talk about movies and TV shows and a bunch of other stuff that doesn't matter.
All right, folks, head over to Discord. That's where the party is at. We do watch parties on Mondays. We're doing classic sci-fi stuff. So head over there, join saltynerd.discord.com. That's where I'm at the majority of the time. And also follow us on Instagram. I've been putting in some work on Instagram, making some fun videos, and we're doing some skits. I think me and Jude are going to film a skit later today. So head over there and check it out and support us on that end. All right, everybody, stay salty. Thanks for being here.